And what's your name, sir?
Robert Harrell.
Robert Herrell. And where were you born?
In Grady County.
And what is your connection to the World War II gentleman killed in action? What was his name?
His name was Carl Herrell, and he was my uncle.
He was your uncle. So he
my
was...
father's brother.
Alright. And what was your father's name?
Donald Harrell.
And his parents' name?
Elton and Addie Harrell.
What was her maiden name?
And Strickland was her maiden name.
Okay. And were they also born in Grady County, as far as you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And how many siblings were there? Were there only the 2 boys?
9.
There were 9 children. And do you know how old Carl was when he went into the military?
24.
24, she says. I don't know.
Okay. And do you know he was in what branch of the service?
The Army Air Corps.
Army Air Corps. And what was his job in the military?
No idea.
You don't know if he was a pilot or a navigator?
Oh, no, he wasn't a pilot.
Okay.
I don't know what he did. Do you?
Okay.
It might tell him now.
His records don't stipulate.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
They were destroyed in St. Louis too, and according to what, let's see.
Where did you find this then? Or did they just send it to you?
I went to St. Louis. They sent me all they had and told me the rest had been destroyed. But I was looking to see if it listed anything about what he did. It just says
not found is what most everything.
He was not in a medical installation prior to his death, but it does not say what his job was.
Huh. And he never could have indicated through letters or anything?
Well, basically, he was married, and his wife left this area, and she remarried, so we don't know.
And he didn't have any children with her?
No, he did not.
I think her name was Harriet.
Maybe it was Harriet. It started with an H.
It was. It wasn't Henrietta.
Okay.
But as far as history tells, now it could be that Robert's mother would know. I don't know, but we do know, and Robert remembers that Uncle Carl's mother was a Gold Star mother.
She was?
And that she had the star that hung in her window during World War II.
Okay, my grandmother was a Gold Star.
And she was
Is
also...
she still alive?
No, but she was honored at one of the veterans programs after Robert and I were married. I remember that as a Gold Star mother.
And now there's no paper or anything. There's not. Were there any telegrams or anything?
Yes, they received a telegram, but we also have this letter signed by President Franklin D. Roosevelt.
Really?
That says that he died in service of his country in the Pacific area. And this right down here is where I just copied the Purple Heart that he received. I do not have the Purple Heart. Someone else does.
Do you know who has it?
Robert's cousin Frank Veal, and he lives in Tampa. Robert's Aunt Gertrude had it prior to her death last year. And I had it on display at the library.
And there wasn't anything on the back of it?
Nope.
And no paper with it?
This is the only piece of paper the family had, except they were notified of his death. There is an article that was in the paper. I think I've got it. Let's see.
And that was in the Messenger?
It's in the Carroll Messenger, where it says Private Harrell died as Jap prisoner. This was June 29th, 1945. He was a gunner. That's what he was.
Okay. Well, just read. Can you read that?
Sure.
And then we'll have...
Carrell man lost in sinking of Jap ship, War Department established. Grady County war dead total was increased further this week by the receipt of official information from the War Department that Private Carl R. Herrell, son of Mr. and Mrs. E.R. Harrell Cairo, was drowned while a Japanese prisoner of war ship when a Jap prison ship was sunk by submarine action off the China coast October the 24th. Okay.
And so you don't know when he was captured, you don't know?
Well, I can tell you, and
Okay.
just like Robert knows, Uncle Carl survived the Bataan Death March.
He was the one who was in the Bataan Death March.
And
He was captured after the fall of Pearl Harbor.
Oh, really?
Which was part of the war.
And let's see, I don't know if this says.
And he was born in Decatur County at a little town called Amsterdam.
Oh, okay.
Uncle Carl was.
Okay.
But we know that he survived the Bataan Death March, and we know that he was on a Japanese prisoner of war ship, that it was not flying a flag of truce,
Uh-huh.
and the name of that ship,
Sheeta Marie or something like that.
I've got it written down, I can't pronounce it.
Okay.
Arion Mar, M-A-U-R, was the ship that he was on, and it was sunk by a U.S. submarine.
Uh-huh. And what date was that again?
He died October 24th, 1944.
1944.
You see, this article was
So
a year later.
I wonder where they were going to take him.
He was shipped them to the Japanese mainland for slave labor.
Okay, because I know there was a gentleman in California who had been a prisoner of war in Japan, and he went back to see the man who was the commander or whatever of that camp.
Well, I understand
And
from Robert.
But now he was captured. Golly, he went a lot of places then, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. According to Robert's cousin, who tried to get past the classified portion of this, has learned that in that area of Japan, there were some kind of mines that were vital for Japanese were going to use, and the United States were going to bomb those areas. And they had prisoners in there, and they took some of them out as well. But that's not factual. That is we get to a dead end on this because it was evidently classified.
Well, I know I've got some little books now, trying to find, information on my uncle, and they are now unclassified, declassified.
These should be by now,
Yeah.
if you can classify Cold War stuff.
Yeah.
But this stuff that they sent me from St. Louis said that he was, because when he was killed, he was a private first class, and it says that he was an enlisted man, that he served 3 years. He was in the Southwest Pacific. It says he died in Japanese prison, which is not correct, of a casualty battle. It says
So his body was never recovered.
his body was never recovered. The boat sunk. It says the boat sunk or damaged. And but I do understand from what I have learned, there were at least 3 men that survived this ship.
Oh, really?
So it's not all hearsay. I don't know any of them. This all comes from Robert's cousin, Frank Veal. And Frank used to work with the Atlanta Constitution. He was a writer there. And he told me he had done a lot of research, but he got to a lot of dead ends too, but he didn't even get this much. I just kept on at him. But
Well, now, have you done very much with the internet?
No,
There's a source, it's called the WAE message board, and it's primarily to help locate information about military, and you just type in WAE, and they've updated it a lot, but you can put a message, and I've gotten probably 50 responses about Mets.
really?
Nothing really, just encouragement sometimes, and try this book, try that book, about the reunion. You know, it might be interesting if you could,
You mean you just go in like that line that I typed in, type
or
www.
search, or wherever there's the word search, and just put WAE, capital W, capital A, capital E.
And
We
then
can do it before I leave.
And then you could even maybe type it in somewhere, the name of this ship or something.
You under search, you could just put the name of that ship and see what information
Where does it say
you could
the name
find.
of the ship?
Frank Hyman gave me that,
I
baby.
thought I seen somewhere else it was a different name.
Well, I think you're thinking about the name of the submarine that sunk it.
It was the Shark, USS Shark.
Shark, it sunk it. Okay.
See, now you could put that in too.
Well,
And
they don't seem to. I was going to see if there's anything else in here. It says the last notice from the War Department said the ill-fated Jap prison ship sailed from the Philippines last October the 11th with 1,775 prisoners of war aboard, bound for Japanese-occupied China or the Jap homeland. It was sunk by a submarine 13 days later. From other sources, it has been learned that the ship was sunk about 200 miles off the China coast, and that 4 of the persons aboard finally made their way to safety in a small boat. So it was 4 rather than 3.
boy, and that many killed.
Mr. and Miss Harrell here heard from their son a few times after he was reported to be a Jap prisoner, but messages were mostly on cards with printed forms to indicate various facts. They never heard whether or not he underwent the suffering of the many war prisoners in the Philippines at the hands of the Japs. No message has been received from him in nearly a year. And basically, I guess that's all we know. But Robert says that everything that his daddy told him about his Uncle Carl was what a fine young man he was, and everybody in Cairo thought so highly of him.
Well, I know Mr. Farrell had told me, now I want you to talk to, is there another person in Cairo that was at the Bataan Death March?
Do you know
Because
I'm
he
not
had mentioned, he said, oh, you know, he would tell me so much.
And he talked so much quick.
And Mr.
Joe
Farrell.
Farrell.
Oh,
But,
I don't think he was ever captured, was he? Joe Farrell.
no, he was just telling me about the
know.
Bataan Death March, that he wanted to make sure, but I'm sure he then told me that
Listen,
the
there's another
person didn't
man
survive.
mentioned in this list.
There was somebody from Cairo that made that. I was thinking, but he was an older man back, 20 years ago.
I don't think he's alive now, but he had mentioned to me to make sure I let people know that he survived the Bataan Death March.
Here's something on a Private Earl Gaines, if you want to.
Okay.
That was on the same article. He was an Okinawa casualty, and he was in the Marines.
Okay.
But Uncle Carl also has a brother, and he was from Grady County at that time. He lives in Nashville, Tennessee, Nashville, Georgia now. He was in World War II. He flew
B-29s. He was a pilot.
Oh, really? Over Europe or?
I know he flew the hump in China.
Okay.
You know, over the mountains. He flew there, and
So.
I think he crash landed 3 times and never got a scratch.
Really?
But I'm not sure what. I know he flew there, but I don't know. But he crashed into a snowbank one time, so that could indicate Germany. I don't know.
But now he would,
could have
if
been the mountains of Burma.
he were in town, he
Uh-huh.
would be very willing to talk to you about it.
Oh, really? Does he ever come visit?
Not much.
Not much since almost everybody has
Yeah.
died, but he would come.
Well, I mean, Nashville, how far is that?
Not very far.
Maybe I could go see him this summer.
He's a retired school teacher.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So you and his wife didn't make us
And what
teach
was his
school?
first name?
Frank.
Frank.
Frank
It's one of
Herrell.
my
Frank.
daddy's brothers.
Okay.
And he says he was very close to this person. So he might even tell you more about
Yeah,
this.
even about his childhood.
Uh-huh.
So we can put, because that's what I tried.
Yeah, of Uncle Carl.
Okay. A picture of that.
Well, that's a picture, isn't it?
No, I think that's that Gaines fellow, Gaines fellow, baby. If that don't look like the picture we got of Uncle
No,
Carl.
that's not him. Uncle Carl looked like a young version of Daddy.
Mm-hmm. But
Which I didn't ever see Uncle Carl
Mhm.
because
You.
I was just a little boy when he was in service, you know.
But his mother and daddy have got a grave marker for him
Oh.
in memory down at Pedment at Calvary.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that in Calvary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Out at Pedment Cemetery.
Okay. Because I think that will be the worst part. I'm not,
Not knowing where they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Well, you know
Yeah. Unfortunately.
they're in the sea.
Mhm.
But if you need any of this, I'll be glad to make you copies because I just
Okay.
made it myself.
Okay.
And this letter from Franklin D. Roosevelt.
See, that might
To
be a
me-
good thing to. I don't know. I'll try and take a picture of it.
Well, you're welcome. I can
could
get you
scan it,
copies, or you can take it with you because I'm not needing it right now. But we gave him a posthumous
Mhm.
Cross of Military Service. The
Okay.
UDC did also,
Okay.
and one of those like you saw in
Uh-huh.
there.
And I want to get a picture of those too.
And I hope this year to do some more.
Well, now, are there any other men who served that you know anything about? Maybe perhaps men who have died that didn't particularly die in action, but any family members that you may have had that served in the war and have died since then?
No, my daddy tried to join 3
Mhm.
times and he was too little.
Oh.
He didn't win that.
Oh, how interesting. Well, I bet-
And see, Robert's daddy was too old.
He was too young for World War II and too old for he was too
Mhm.
young for World War I and too old for World War II.
Mhm. That's the way my grandfather was.
And besides,
But his sons were-
they were in the sawmilling business, and that was
Mhm.
critical for the war, which, he might have been right on the edge
Mhm.
of the age limit, but I guess if the things had got worse, he would have been, I guess, maybe not too old to go if,
Mhm.
if the war had continued.
Mhm.
Or if they had not used that source
Mhm.
as one of the needs of the war.
I know my other uncle worked at Delco and Frigidaire, and so they needed him, to continue in his job. And then his other 2 brothers served, but he didn't, and he was the oldest.
Robert, you might could tell her something that you've heard about Roy Hall.
When he was a fighter pilot in World War II, his name was Roy Hall,
Mhm.
and he flew in Germany, and because he talked about the Messerschmitt,
Mhm.
the German Me-109
Mhm.
Messerschmitt fighter, and he flew, I don't know how many missions, but a lot more than he was supposed to fly anyway. But he did not get killed in action. He died 3 or 4 years ago.
No, he died several years ago.
Well, several years ago. I don't know
Mhm.
exactly when, but and he went to college, and the way he paid his way through was from shooting pool.
Oh, really?
That's what he told me.
Yeah.
He could show you all kind of trick shots on the pool table. Boy, I mean, things that you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
And the only living relative of his that I know that's in care of today is his nephew, Wayne Fincher, if you know him.
Fincher?
Wayne Fincher.
Fincher, okay.
That's the only ones I can think of that I know. I've told her about Francis Allen and
Yeah.
Leland Harrison.
And he lost an arm, didn't he?
And, yeah. And she doesn't have anything on him.
I don't know. Well, Bill Bishop
Well, she's got him.
was
And-
in. Oh, he'll talk to you.
Oh, he's a good man.
He
He came
is.
to our class and spoke to my children,
He's
and so
very
so did Mr. Davis, Mr. Eason,
Mm-hmm.
and he has all sorts of memorabilia. And the kids were thrilled. I'm holding this in my hand, a grenade in my hand. They were thrilled, the boys especially.
I don't know of any women that.
Yeah, and see, Mr. Harrell said that, or Mr. Farrell said that there were a lot of women, there are quite a few women, and he said he had a list of names, but I don't remember that he ever really, unfortunately I didn't meet him until right when school started, and then he was diagnosed, and I met him, I'll turn it.
Todd's little stepdaughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know who he was. He just walked up and started talking to me. And he acted like he
So
knew who I was.
Yeah.
He's a nice guy.
He was.
He did a lot for the Veterans Bus Fund. So did Bill Bishop.
Mm-hmm. Well, so did Snooks. You
Yeah.
know?
Mm-hmm.
And he's another one I haven't interviewed yet, and I need to interview Snooks.
Yeah.
And
I'm trying to think of some of the pictures we put up in our display on World War II. Burt Womble was in World War II.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He was in
and-
the Navy.
And Snook and his brother Snake. There was three of those boys were in World War II. Burt Womble lives out on Green Bell Road.
okay.
Now he can tell you all about a bunch of them.
Oh, okay.
He can lay some words on you. He's my cousin.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna try and do,
Well, he's Burton was in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
They go to a lot of these
Oh,
reunions.
do they?
And he and my cousin Peggy, and is Weldon and Snake the same person?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Snake's his nickname.
Well, who's the other brother? We had three of the brothers up there, and then their daddy was in World War I.
Oh.
And I've got a picture of their daddy
Okay.
still that he hadn't come and got. But I remember getting those books out of that warming room, those
Okay.
names out of there.
Okay.
I got a lot of names that I could follow up with from there.
See, there was a family, a black family, where there were three.
Yeah, and that lady will talk to you.
Well, I assigned one of my students, and I said, "There's her address. Write to her." But she was kind of shy about it, so I'll write to her.
Well, I called her up, and she
Oh,
was
really?
going to meet me one day, but she didn't do it.
Uh-huh.
Well, I've got a
See,
picture in
even-
a book. Of course, they wouldn't be colored. It shows all of them.
If I can, I don't know. Oh. I can get this. Okay. Alright, and this is the medal for
World War
World
I?
War One. World War Two.
No, this is World War II.
I'm sorry.
World War II.
Let me get it. Okay.
Korean conflict.
Alright, Korean. Let me get it. Korean conflict.
And this is the Vietnam War.
Vietnam. And
And
this is...
this is our expeditionary medal. That is
Okay.
for places like your hot spots in Honduras and places like that.
Right. And this is to be given to...
The John B.
John
Gordon
B.
Chapter 383 is presenting it to the Historical Museum in Thomasville.
Oh, in Thomasville.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because our chapter
Okay,
is
that
from
looks
there.
good. That looks good.
And this one is our National Defense Medal. And it's awarded or not, some of your non-declared wars.
Okay. And you mentioned that it's almost impossible now to get the World War One.
No, I said that I wondered,
Oh.
with that one looking as old as it does,
Mhm.
I wonder how much longer we will
Okay.
be able
To
to.
get.
I don't know.
And the ones you can't get anymore from
Yes,
the
the
Spanish-American.
Spanish-American War and the Philippine Insurrection.
Okay. And you are with the Daughters of the Confederacy.
The John B. Gordon chapter, 383.
Yes, ma'am. And you are president, or what was your...
I am president right now.
Okay. And how long have you been president?
2 years.
Okay.
And it ends June the 30th.
Oh, really?
Mine does.
Who will be the new?
Sheila Tucker from Thomasville.
Oh, okay.
See,
So
our
this
chapter
is-
is in Thomasville.
Oh, I see. I see.
Cairo does not have a chapter.
Well, maybe could you start one?
You could if you could get enough of people to work.
Yeah.
Grady County had one in the early 1900s,
Uh-huh.
and as soon as I'm through with this, I'm going to do research to see why they quit having one.
Uh-huh.
I'd love to know.
Yeah.
Because I've researched the newspapers, and they used to have Memorial Day services all the time,
Really?
and seemed to be a pretty active organization. This was like from 1909 to 1915.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Huh. I wonder what happened.
I don't know.
We'll find out.
Oh well.
And then put it on the internet and everybody will know.
There you go. No, that's one thing UDC don't do much.
Oh, okay.
You don't want all that.
Well, it's okay. Okay. First, tell me your name.
Willie, your full name?
Yes, sir.
Willie Otis McKinney.
Okay, and where were you born?
Lizella, Georgia.
You were born in Georgia. And your mother died when you were, what, 3, you
3
said?
years old.
Okay, and your father when you were?
11.
And so, were you brought up in that same town?
You were in the same area.
Same area?
I raised up with a cousin.
Okay.
He took me in as one of his, and I was just one of the other kids. He
Okay.
had 6 kids of his own when I made 7.
Okay. And where did you go to school then?
Lizella, Georgia.
Okay. And where were you when World War II started? Were you still in high school, or?
I was in Petersburg, Virginia,
Okay. And
working,
doing what?
hanging wallpaper.
Oh, yeah? Good. And did you enlist, or were you drafted?
I enlisted
So you enlisted where?
in Nashville, Georgia. I came back to Nashville, Georgia,
Okay.
and joined the Navy.
Okay. And where did you go to basic training?
Norfolk, Virginia.
You went to Norfolk. And what was your particular job in the Navy? What were your duties?
Well, you have several. I was sort of a storage keeper, supplies on the ship, you know.
Mhm.
When food come in, I'd store it away. And of course, it general, when you went to fighting, you went to a certain gun or something, you know, like that. But my job was keeping those storerooms.
Okay, but
Food, in other words, the food for the ship.
right. But then when there was combat, you also had a
Yeah.
combat duty.
You went to a certain gun, a battle station, wherever yours was.
Uh-huh.
That's where you went.
Where was your battle station?
On number 2 gun on the ship.
Number 2 gun.
5-inch gun.
5-inch guns. What was the distance they could shoot?
I don't really remember.
Okay. Now, when you left Norfolk, where did you go? Did you go directly overseas, or did you
Went to New York to get on the Edwards
the Edwards? And the Edwards, you said, was what kind of ship?
destroyer.
A destroyer. And do you know, like, the tonnage of it or anything like that?
No,
And what ship was it? Was it in a convoy of some type?
well, yeah, it went into, we done some escort duty across, and then of course went through the canals in a convoy,
The Suez Canal?
U.S. Canal,
Okay.
Panama Canal.
Oh, okay. So you were in the Atlantic and then went down through the Panama Canal. Do you remember what ship you were escorting?
Gosh, there was hundreds of, you know.
Okay, okay. About how many were in the convoy? Do you have any idea?
I don't remember the number. It was a pretty good sized convoy.
Okay. And approximately what year was this then?
43.
43. So this was after the bombing of Pearl Harbor.
Oh, yeah. I didn't
And
go
what-
on after that.
Okay. And was the Edwards a new ship?
Brand new ship.
Brand new ship.
Destroyer.
Okay. And so you were on your way to the Pacific. All right. Where did the Edwards, what battles did the Edwards take part in?
Oh, just about all of them down in there. Guadalcanal, a bunch of those in there.
You were at Guadalcanal?
Yeah.
How far offshore were you at Guadalcanal?
I have no idea.
Okay. Could you see it?
Sometimes we'd go 3 months and never see land.
Oh, really? So, what other, Guadalcanal lasted, what, about 6 months? Were you there that whole time, or?
No, we would go to other places. We shot down, in the whole time I was on it, we shot down 5 planes
Mm-hmm.
and sunk 1 submarine.
Oh, really?
And the cruise of Chicago was sunk down there. I don't remember just where it was at when it was sunk. But we picked up 224 survivors off that cruise of Chicago and carried those guys in and dropped them off and went back out to sea.
Carried them in to
To
where?
the port,
Oh,
and we'll put them off.
okay. And when you sunk the submarine, were there any survivors? There weren't. Okay. What else do you remember about being on board ship, or any particular?
You mean battles?
Uh-huh.
Well, there was a lot of things that wasn't no battle, but it was at points you didn't know. We spotted a ship out one time going after we went through the canals on down there. We spotted a ship on the horizon, and I don't remember the admiral, but he sent the Edwards out to investigate it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it raised a Free French flag when we got close to it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it was. And we just circled it
Mm-hmm.
till the convoy came on by.
Oh,
And the next morning I woke up, we was back in the convoy.
oh, I see.
And down at New Caledonia, there was a harbor down there. There was a small entrance, little ships to go through it,
Mm-hmm.
but it was small. And all this bunch of ships was up in there, and we sat there at the mouth of it and made a figure 8,
Oh,
just a
really?
figure 8, to make sure no submarine didn't go in there.
Oh, I see.
And we just sat there about 3 days.
So you were protecting the port there
Yeah.
from...
Make sure no submarine didn't slip in there.
So you would not only be there like during a battle, but you were there to protect a place after we had gotten control of it. Okay. And you changed your position often then?
Yeah, we would bombard coastlines,
Mm-hmm.
and especially some up in the Aleutians and all, that they never been checked for us putting ships in there. For the
Mhm.
depth of the water,
Mm-hmm.
you won't know how you could put troops in there, and landing ships. And we'd go in there at night under Jap fire
Mm-hmm.
and check the depth of the water and all this, just making sure you could get in there.
Mm-hmm.
See, nobody else had been in there before.
Okay, so then after you would check the depth, then you could tell what kind of ships or boats could go in there, or how far they could go in,
Yeah, you knew the depth of the water and all. I
Okay.
think you was in there.
and what kind of landing, what do I say? What's the right word? Landing craft, right? That they
Yes.
could use in. And what were you checking it for Marines to go in? Was it the Marines that would
Yeah,
go in on the landings then?
We check it and bombarded it. We'd bombard it, the ships, and planes,
Mm-hmm.
and to soften up the enemy so when we put the troops in, they would have some protection.
Right.
And if they run against a big gun and they couldn't knock it out, the big ships off the gun, the big guns off the ship would try to knock it out before they could advance on in.
So the main military strategy was air attacks and bombardments from the sea, then send men in, and then even while the men were going in, you would fire if they ran into larger guns firing at them. You fire over the troops. Okay. And were you at Iwo Jima? Do you know? You
No, we missed part of that. We was
Okay.
out in some of the waters and all, because everybody couldn't be at one place where
Right.
there was submarines and
Right.
the Jap fleet all out in there. And
Did you come into contact with any, not contact, but did you ever see any Kazakami? Did you see ships destroyed by those, or?
yeah, to a degree, not too many.
Uh-huh.
So sometimes they would miss,
Were you protecting aircraft carriers?
aircraft carriers and battleships,
Uh-huh.
supply ships, and this type of stuff.
Okay.
That was the destroyer's main job, was protecting the larger ships.
How many men were on this ship?
A little over 300, I forget the exact number.
Oh, so it wasn't real big.
Oh no.
Okay. Because aircraft carriers can have like a couple thousand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And how was the living? What were your living quarters like?
4 bucks high,
Okay.
on the wall. And they let out in the daytime. At night, they would push up.
Okay. They push you up at night?
No, I mean, in the day, they would push up, after.
Okay. And then at
After-
night okay.
Just let them down and 4 deep.
So it was really like a hammock almost?
Yeah.
Okay. And where did you keep your gear?
We had lockers.
Okay. And how did the men get along? Did you when you think back about it, how did they get along? I mean, that was pretty cramped quarters and...
Well, we all had a job, and we really got along great.
Uh-huh.
We all had a job to do, and we tried to do it.
Right.
There was no... I think we got along better than a lot of families.
Well, well, everybody knew what they were supposed to do.
That's right.
Who was the captain of that ship? Do you remember?
I don't. You think back,
Mm-hmm.
why didn't I remember this, or why didn't I make a note of that?
Uh-huh.
But you in there for the duration, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you going back home, and I never even dreamed of the ship reunion we're having now.
Really?
You never thought about it.
Well, when are your reunions? When was the last one you went to?
About a month ago at Memphis, Tennessee,
Oh, really?
and the other one in Washington, D.C.
When will it be? Or you
Already.
already had it? Okay. Well, are you planning another one?
Yeah, next year.
Okay, and where will it be?
One of them's going to be in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay.
The other one, they hadn't said it. They're going to do some more thing and let us know.
Uh-huh. And you didn't see the friends that you showed me the pictures of, Skeeter, and here, let me get those on this too.
Which one you want?
We'll do one at a time. Okay. Let's see if I can get it. All right, that's you on the right with your beard. Tell us about that beard.
We went out to sea for, I forget how many days, so I didn't shave. I wanted to grow a beard and come in. When we came back in, I took some pictures, and I shaved it off.
Okay. You didn't get in any trouble having a beard on
Oh no,
board
you
ship?
could grow a beard.
Oh, okay.
You could grow a beard.
And the guy on the left is Robert
Kennedy,
Kennedy, and you think he's from...
Massachusetts.
Okay. And what do you remember about him?
He was just a good guy.
Okay. He practical joker or anything like that, or?
Just I don't know. We worked. We was pretty busy.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have time for a lot of.
Playing around.
No,
Okay.
really we didn't.
What was his job? Do you remember that?
I can't really remember what division he was in.
Okay.
See, there was different divisions on the ship,
Okay.
and certain guys in certain divisions,
And each division had a different job to do, or?
yeah,
Okay. And your division again was what?
supplies.
Supplies. Did it have a number? Just supply division.
Just supply division.
Okay.
See, you had mechanics, boilermakers,
Mm-hmm. Okay. What else besides mechanics,
Well, there
boilermakers,
was gunners,
gun? Mm-hmm.
torpedomen.
So you carried torpedoes?
Yes,
Okay,
and 5.
5 torpedoes. Once you, I mean, where did they store the torpedoes? I mean, you had how many total? I mean, you could shoot
was
5
in-
at a time. Is that what you mean?
Well, you could, but you wouldn't hardly shoot them all at once.
Right.
You'd shoot one, and if it missed, you'd shoot
Right.
another one. There was 5 of them started in the middle of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Had four 5-inch guns on it, and some 40 millimeters.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever
And
have?
depth charges.
Oh, you
off the
did
back.
have depth charge. But how were they kept safe? I mean, they weren't. A depth charge, is it?
You set it for a certain depth. If you
Okay.
wanted to go off at 50 foot, you set it for 50 foot. You want to
Okay.
go off at 100 foot deep, you
And
set
that-
it. And when you got there,
And that would probably, like the pressure, the amount of water pressure on it or something like that would set it off?
I think the depth or something.
Uh-huh.
I don't know all just exact.
Okay. And what about torpedoes? Did you ever have any trouble with the torpedoes? They all? Okay.
Never had any trouble. Everything worked.
And did you do a pretty good job with those torpedoes? I mean, did you pretty much hit the targets?
Oh yeah,
Mm.
most of the time. We didn't fire much torpedoes. We did guns
Okay.
and depth charges. See,
Okay.
we got the submarine with depth charges.
Right. Do you know the name of the submarine that you
No.
sunk? Okay.
And we never saw it.
Right.
When he came up about midnight.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came up, every gun on the ship, in 3 minutes, he was gone.
Oh. So you really didn't even need depth charges on him, or did they
Oh, yeah.
just do
The
it
depth
just?
charge is what brought him up.
Oh, okay. I understand.
They cracked him open with seams, got
Uh-huh.
leaking, so he had to come up.
Right.
And when he came up, all the guns hit him.
Oh, I see. I understand now. And how could you tell a Japanese submarine from an American submarine? How could you?
Well, you didn't really see them.
Right.
See, they're under the water.
Yeah.
But if you was in the Pacific,
Uh-huh.
it was Japs. If you was in the Atlantic, it was Germans.
Right. But how? I mean, you knew where all American submarines were.
Oh yeah, we knew where they was at.
There wasn't any kind of a different radio response or something from.
Well, there might have been, but I don't know it.
Okay.
See, that wasn't my job.
Okay. But you would know where all the American submarines are, so then if this
If
wasn't.
there was one in this area, we would know where he's at.
Okay. I don't know if I'm asking very intelligent questions. I don't Duh. Okay, now tell me about, here's Skeeter.
Skeeter's from Houston, Texas.
Okay, and his real name, he's on the left, right? No,
No,
Randall
shit.
is on the left. Randall?
Skeeter's in the center.
Okay, and Randall's last name you don't remember?
I don't remember. I may have it in my book at home, but I don't have it.
And Skeeter was from Texas?
Yep.
And his real name was?
Malcolm Earl Thomas.
Malcolm Earl Thomas. And there you are with your beard again. Okay. And you haven't seen them since you were in the Navy? No contact at all? Or?
You wonder later, why didn't you stay in touch with them?
Yeah, I know.
We went on living together time and time again.
And you know they're thinking about you too.
Probably.
Yeah.
And you wonder, why didn't I stay in touch with some of those guys?
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of the guys that come to these reunions now,
Uh-huh.
they stayed in touch all these years.
Really?
See,
Well,
we
maybe we'll
talk
find them
about
for you.
55 years.
Yeah. Maybe we can find them for you. Get on the internet. Okay, what other picture?
That's all except me.
Well, we want to see you. Okay, here you're relaxing somewhere. You don't remember where?
No, I don't remember where I taken that. I don't remember where this was taken.
Did you ever, were you ever, once you went on the Edwards, did you ever have, I mean, you went straight to the Pacific, through the Panama Canal. You were there for, how long were you on that ship?
11 months.
11
But
months.
now, we made some trips across to England.
Oh, really?
No,
Did you come back through the Panama Canal? Or
No.
did you go on through the Indian Ocean?
we
Or?
went on down in the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
But we made several trips across the Atlantic went to Africa. And
Is this
stopped
on
at
the
eight-
Edwards? This
This
was on the
Edwards. Well, I was on there 11 months. And we put 90,000 miles on it in 11
Wow.
months. We didn't sit in port.
So let me make sure I understand. When you first got on it, you went to the Pacific.
No.
Okay. When you first went on it, where did you go?
We worked across the Atlantic.
Okay.
Escort supply ships,
Okay.
protection from subs, and this type of stuff.
And this would have been before Normandy. So this was getting supplies
It was in
to,
43.
yeah. So this was getting supplies to American soldiers or
We
to
was getting supplies over to England
England?
and places.
Okay. And how many trips across did you make? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. And then after you did that, that's when you went to the Pacific.
Right.
Okay. When did you transfer ships and why? Did anything happen to the Edwards?
No. When we came into Seattle, after all this, they was building this seaplane center out there.
Mm-hmm.
There was a place out there to build them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I don't know whether they just picked you by number or what,
Mm-hmm.
but they transfer so many off to a new ship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some old seamen, you might say,
Mm-hmm.
get out. They just, and my name and number, whatever they went by, just came up.
And now, did your friends go also, or which ship were they on with you?
Well, some of them came on, that was their first.
Mm-hmm.
I think Skeeter and Randall came on.
Okay.
I'm not positive. You don't keep up with all them little details.
I know. I can't remember what happened a minute ago. So.
If you think back, you do a lot of things different.
Yeah.
Names, numbers, places.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then you were on this new ship. What was the name of it?
Rehoboth.
The Hobart.
Rehoboth.
Okay. And were you primarily in the Pacific with it?
Well, basically, yeah. Well, we came back through the canals
Okay.
and back over and worked in and out, just different places.
And the seaplanes, how large were they, and how many pilots did they have? And
Well, they just have what? They have a pilot, navigator, and gunners on them. And,
they did have guns on them too.
well,
And where were they taking off to? Do you remember?
taking off hunting the enemy. Wherever
Just-
they might be, and they were scattered from the Aleutian Islands all around.
Oh, okay. So, I never even thought about that. There's so many things I don't think about, and I'm realizing,
A
there's,
lot of people don't think a seaplane tender
Oh.
it's just a powder keg.
yeah,
It's just full of bombs and fuel and stuff.
uh-huh,
You struck a match at the wrong place, you'd have went to the moon.
golly.
That's all it was.
And they were actually in combat, or
Well,
would,
you would sort of anchor out, the planes would come back into you
mm-hmm.
and refuel and get more bombs and go back.
So you were just supplying them and keeping them
You just
refueled.
supplied those planes.
And then the planes themselves, though, that enabled them to go farther or to continue.
Just
They
to-
never.
To continue, you might say.
Okay. And then where were they based? Just was there one
Different
main?
places, different
they
places,
did.
for the home base of,
Okay.
for some, not supplies, but repairs.
Okay.
See, we just had the bombs and fuel, this type of stuff.
I never thought about seaplanes being in the war. I don't know why.
They've done a great job.
And what they would bomb? They would bomb then destroyers from the Nazis or from the
See, they could bomb
any
ships out in the ocean.
yeah.
They could drop those bombs on those ships out there.
Okay. And these weren't large planes though. About how many bombs did they carry?
Oh, I don't remember those. They're pretty good sized planes.
Okay. I always think of a seaplane as being a small little plane.
Some of them pretty
I'm
large.
showing my ignorance here. I'm sorry. I need to be quiet. All right, and so how long were you on that ship?
Well, they had a policy after about 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
you get transferred off sea duty. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I went on it. Gosh, I can't remember now. It was in that.
Yeah,
In
it
that
was
book.
right. I've got it written down.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let me hold this and I'll read it. So we'll get it.
you got that stopped?
Oh, I got it. You were on the USS Edwards up until the 9th of 43. So you were on it about, like you said, 11 to 12 or 14 months.
Yeah.
And then you were on the other till March 5th of 45. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay. And your serial number is 6367429.
You'll never forget it.
I know.
You can ask me my social security number, I can't tell you.
But that
I can
number,
tell you that number.
yeah.
636-7429.
Why do you remember it so
I
well?
have no idea.
Oh.
But it's just planted in there.
Now, when you were you in charge of supplies, like you were on the Edwards, on the other ship? Did you have the same job?
Basically.
Basically, okay.
We a lot of supply ships,
Mhm.
big supply ships would carry supplies, and they'd anchor out some island or some port or whatever, and we'd come in for supplies.
Mm-hmm.
I would be the first man that went off ship with my list
Mm-hmm.
for what I needed.
Okay. So you really ran the show.
And
Now, did you always keep everything straight?
tried to.
I mean, you didn't get any bad stuff or anything. Maybe.
There's certain policies you have to do by. You have to watch the guys unload the supplies.
Right.
If you got apples in, for instance,
Uh-huh.
you just want to open the box up and give them some.
Okay.
Because the second guy picks up a box, he's going to drop it
On purpose.
on purpose.
Okay.
And apples were everywhere. So just open up and give them an apple.
Okay.
Some of them would hide canned fruit, get a canned fruit and hide it somewhere.
Uh-huh.
But see, I had to keep a record of it,
Right.
so I know how much I had.
Right.
So you had to keep pretty good.
And things didn't come up missing too much or anything like that. Okay.
One time we pulled up, I think it was 3 other ships tied up beside the supply ship, so I had to cross 3 other ships to get to the supply. So I walks in and throws my list out there.
Mhm.
He looks at it, looks up. He said, we got a report you was sunk 3 days ago.
Really?
I said, so I'm sorry, but we're sitting right there. Give me the supply. We may have to go out again.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder who reported you sunk.
Well, there's a lot of,
Yeah.
you hear different things, and
Well, and then you had to rendezvous with these planes too, didn't you? I mean, you could be 50
well, on
miles.
this Edwards now, we didn't rendezvous with planes.
No, I mean, oh, you were talking about the Edwards the
Yeah.
other time. Okay. Oh, I understand. If we were to put take one story and put it on, on the internet with your picture and everything, what story would you like for us to tell?
Well, we had a job to do.
Hmm.
We wasn't fighting for no land. We was fighting for other people's freedom. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
And that's what we fought for.
You knew what you were fighting for.
Other people's freedom.
Hmm.
We wasn't fighting for not a foot of land, I mean, or gained.
Hmm.
It was for our freedom and they're free. And these young folks today don't realize that.
Mm-mm. If you could, so we had some people come speak to the students. If you could, speak to the students, what would you tell them about your generation?
Well, I got some grandkids, and they don't believe things you tell them. They don't comprehend. They don't want to hear it. Because it's so much different now than back then.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just a different world. Well, people, the world's the same.
Mm-hmm.
People are different.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So I know the grandkids, they're good kids. They're all 2 or 3 in college now. And they're all good in church every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't care what I did back in World War II.
Yeah.
It don't cross their mind. But if we'd have lost that war, it would have been a different ball game today.
As they get older, they'll care.
Yeah.
And
now they just got everything going, cars, computers.
But did you talk to them about it when they were little? Did you ever tell them things or show them things?
They're not, like I said, they're not really interested. That's just not their cup of tea or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know. They're just not interested now. I think when they get 25, 30 years old, now the parents, they're concerned, they kind of know what went on. But the grandkids, it's just something happened 50 years ago that, all they know is the good times now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is good times now.
Mm-hmm. And
They say it's good times. I don't say it's good times.
Why not?
It's too much. Too much.
Too much of everything.
Yeah. Like, there was respect. Man's word was his bond. And kids was better under control, talked better, they did better. They just, I don't know. Because mine tell me I'm old-fashioned, and I'm going to stay that way.
You like being old-fashioned. Well, Tom Brokaw has called you the greatest generation, and I think he's probably right. Because the values that your generation had is what made them the great generation that they were. And if we don't have values, then...
Not anymore. There's some now, but it's just...
Yeah. When you came, where were you, or did you know anything about the invasion of Normandy? Did you know very much about what was going on in other places?
Yeah, we got reports.
You did?
And there was papers and, we knew, but we was busy doing ours, so we couldn't dwell on what the other guy was doing over here too much.
When you were discharged, where were you sent then? I mean, once you were discharged from the ship, then where did you go, and then where did you finally get your last discharge, or were you discharged directly from the ship?
No, I was left the ship and went to Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay.
And I waited there for the discharge. So
Okay.
I got my discharge in Norfolk, Virginia.
Right where you went to basic training. Well, now what happened to the ship?
I don't really know. They kept going until they put them in mothball or whatever they done with them, took them out of commission. I don't really know where they're at today.
Now the second one that you were on, was it a brand new ship also? It was. So really it was only about 3 years old by the time the war was over, if that.
Yeah.
And do you remember who your captain on that one was?
No.
Okay.
I could kick myself for not remembering,
Yeah, well maybe I can find out for you. Would you like
figure
that?
when you get off, you're going back home and go
Uh-huh.
back to work, and you know, that's history.
Yeah. Well, you didn't realize maybe what you had done, to be honest.
Yeah.
The extent of the duty that you performed. And when you came home then, where did you come home to?
I married a girl from Seattle,
Uh-huh.
and we were married while I was in the service.
Okay.
So we went back to Seattle
Mm-hmm.
and worked a while. I was going to raise a family,
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to raise them on the farm. So I came back to Georgia,
Oh, okay.
to Tifton, Georgia.
Uh-huh.
But we lost 3 boys
Oh, God.
with the RH factor. You know, it's different blood. So I come back to do something, I couldn't do it.
Mm.
So I stayed.
Did you have other children? You lost all your children.
Lost
now.
3 boys.
How,
After losing 3, we give up.
how sad.
quit.
God. And so then you married, how long were you married to this lady? And what was her name?
Charlotte McDonald,
Charlotte McDonald. And she was from what?
Seattle.
She was from
But just
Seattle.
out of Seattle.
Oh, how did you meet her?
In the service.
Hmm?
At a restaurant.
In a restaurant when you were in the
We was
service?
out eating.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 or 4 say we out eating. And her and 2 girls, I think, came in to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I found out later they came in to meet sailors.
Mm-hmm.
And we was there.
So she met you.
We
And
were
then
there 40
you-
years.
You wrote to her and all that, or how long did you know her before you?
Oh, I don't know.
But you married and then you had to ship out, or?
No, I went out and come in and got leave. And I called her.
Mm-hmm.
Called her, sent her ground. I don't know how I contacted, but I said I got 21 days leave.
Huh?
Meet me in Boston,
Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston, Massachusetts.
And she
And
came
she
running.
did.
Woo.
And we came home to Tifton, Georgia, where my brother was at, and
Uh-huh.
got married.
Well, how about that? Well, that's good. And then you were married 40 years.
40 years. And I lost her.
Oh.
Now, later down here, this Hilda Clements,
Mm-hmm.
we've been married 14 years.
Oh, really?
She's had 3 girls, got 3 girls,
Uh-huh.
8 grandyoungins.
Uh-huh.
So we're doing fine, having a good time.
Well, good.
Travel a lot,
Well, good.
go to these ship reunions, we take trips.
So you're enjoying your life. Well, so you farmed then? You did farm?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of farming?
Just regular row crop,
Okay.
cotton, corn, peanuts, tobacco,
How much land did you have?
about 150 acres, but all that sold and gone.
Now, where do you live? You live in the same house, or?
I live here in Carrell.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, you don't live out in the farm.
No.
No, you live inside the city. Do you like that? Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else I haven't asked, or that you would like to talk about, or any experiences, especially that you remember?
Well, I talked a lot, I said talked a lot, I don't really, but when anybody bring it up,
Mm-hmm.
it's a job. It's just like going to work at Roddenberry's, Winn-Dixie's. It's a job.
Mm-hmm.
You do it. Of course, when you go to Roddenberry's to work or something, you're not fighting for your country or nothing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a job. You got it to do, and you do it. We trained every day. Those shells on those guns weighed 65 pounds. And we could fire 20 a minute.
And you had to hand load them? God.
And we trained and drilled every day. So that ship was your home. You had plenty of food to eat, a dry bed to sleep in,
Mm-hmm.
and you fought for it. So as long as it was floating, you was in good shape. And you fought for it.
And you were never, was your ship attacked so that there was damage done to it?
It was attacked with no damage.
No damage.
I've seen several planes. A plane, would dive at you and drop his bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And like this was the ship,
Mm-hmm.
that bomb would hit here
Mm-hmm.
and come up over here.
Wow.
He just missed his target, really.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, this is the ship. And one day, a submarine fired a torpedo at us. Like it was coming broadside at us. But the man on the wheel, where you steer it, he was good. He saw it coming. And he twisted that ship around.
Really?
Went right down side of it. I saw it, just standing looking at it. You could
Oh
see it.
my heavens. How long did that take? I mean, he must
Oh,
have
it
really
just-
reacted.
Well, you can react them pretty fast if you know what to do. You can
Uh-huh.
you can steer that thing and hit the right propeller and all that. That thing, the back end of it just go around.
Wow.
And had been for that thing would hit us broadsided,
Right.
and we'd been cut half in two.
And like something like that now, how far away were other ships from you that they could come rescue you?
Well, there was others, yeah.
But still, the waters, the waters were cold or were
Well,
they?
you was in battle, so you couldn't just stop and go pick somebody up. You had
Exactly.
you had to keep fighting.
Uh-huh.
You couldn't drop your guard till the battle was over.
And what do you remember, do you remember anything specifically about Guadalcanal?
No, just that we was out there part of it.
Uh-huh.
Well, we wasn't at the beach or nothing like this, but
Right.
there was fighting back out here had to be done.
Uh-huh.
Planes,
Right.
ships. It was a mess.
And it lasted a long time. That was one of the longer battles, wasn't
Yeah, I
it?
can't remember just how it lasted.
But you said you wouldn't have been there the whole time. You would have.
Gosh, we was just out in the water, going and coming. And
What about the Philippines? Did you ever go up to like the Luzon? Isn't that the name of it? Luzon?
no, I got a little book.
Okay.
It tells you where I was at each and every day.
Really?
But that, and I was reading.
Uh-huh.
I got
But they published that later?
no.
Oh.
This is
You
my
were?
personal. See,
Ooh, you weren't allowed to do that.
no, you wasn't allowed to do that.
And I'm so glad you did though, because isn't it a shame that they didn't allow that? Because look at that. Just like you said, I bet maybe your friends' names are in there, or
No, there's no names in here.
oh, okay.
Just where we was at.
Oh, where you were at?
On the 31st day of December 42, we crossed the 180 meridian, how you say it, line.
Meridian.
Yeah. That's where you cross the equator and
Uh-huh.
all this kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
That's all this
Well,
is.
that's invaluable.
What day we was at, where we
Did-
was at.
Now, did you ever take that to the reunions?
I don't think I did this. I was disappointed this year
Why?
that,
Hoping this isn't. Go ahead. This looks too light. Go ahead.
when they cruised to Chicago,
Uh-huh.
a bunch of planes come in one afternoon and they damaged it. And so there was 4 destroyers and another ship carrying that cruiser, Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
into port. I forget now where it was at. I just look back in this book, find it. And the next afternoon, I forgot what time of day, there was 15 planes came back. They sunk it. but they did not go back and tell nobody. But we knocked them all down.
Now say this again. 15 American or Japanese?
No, Japanese.
planes
They come
sunk
back
the
to
Chicago.
finish that ship off.
Uh-huh.
And they did,
Uh-huh.
but they didn't go tell nobody. But we knocked them all down.
Oh, I understand what you're saying. Nobody knew they did it.
But
Because
they knew
you
they knew
destroyed
they came out, but
you destroyed
no plane
all
go-
15 of them? Wow.
well, there was 5 ships there,
Uh-huh.
and plus the
Oh, okay.
plus the cruiser.
You mean
too.
the convoy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We was carrying it into port where they could repair it.
I
But they
understand.
came back the next day and they finished it off.
Well, I wonder. Well, that must have been quite a battle. 15 airplanes, right?
Yeah, but the day before there was more than that.
Really? That how
Oh.
many would attack when they would attack?
Different numbers.
Okay.
Just depends on what they had and all this and that.
Golly. Did the noise bother you?
You didn't have time to think about it.
Okay.
You was busy.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't say I'm the bravest guy in the world. I'm not no Superman.
Mhm.
But it's odd. I never got scared. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Oh, like I say, it was a job and you did it.
Mhm.
Or you tried to do it.
Mhm.
There was one time, up in the Aleutians or somewhere, I forgot the name of the island or what it was. There was a ship up in the harbor, and the planes had been flying in, trying to knock it out, with bombs. And they hadn't knocked it out. So the admiral, I don't know who he was, in charge, told the ship that I was on, that Ed was going to make a torpedo run on that ship. We was out 3 or 4 miles or something.
Mhm.
To come in and make a torpedo run, go in that harbor and make a run on that ship. Well, you had about 10 minutes to think. You didn't know whether he was coming out or not.
Mm.
Of course, you get orders, you do it.
Ashley Garland, come to the front desk for
So
a
we
phone
was
call.
booging
please.
in there. And just as we got at the mouth of the harbor, he called us back out.
Oh, really?
The planes had finished it.
So you didn't have to.
We didn't have to go in. But we was going.
Yeah.
So you have a few minutes to think like that. It's something you're gonna do.
And plus, you gotta follow orders too, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's why they want you to be that way, because they want you to follow orders.
Oh, yeah, you have to. If you don't,
Yeah.
you put in jail.
Right.
Brig. We call them brigs.
But so your ship didn't really have any casualties? Golly. Neither ship you were on had any casualties.
But a scratch on.
That's wonderful, really.
Yeah.
It really is.
Good luck. The good Lord was with us.
Mhm. Do you think being in a war situation does make you more religious, or?
No.
Okay.
If you don't believe and got it, I don't think it will. It might make you stop and think, but if you're not sincere with it, it's nothing.
Uh-huh.
I was brought up in a Christian home, so that was no problem to me.
Uh-huh. But when you think back on the war, what is your overall, you had to do it again? You're...
If I had to do it again, I'd do it.
Mhm.
I wouldn't run off and hide.
Mhm.
Man won't defend his country. He ain't much in my book.
Mhm.
I'm talking about the freedom,
Mhm.
This country was built on freedom. That's why people came here to start with it.
And you're active in Legion? Are you active in the
Oh, I'm a
Legion?
lifetime member.
Are you? You have a meeting tonight?
Yep.
Yeah, Mr. Brock is going to come by. He has something for me. Mr. Brock, do you know Mr. Brock? Okay. Is there anything else? Can you think of anything else that I haven't? I don't want you to leave and then in a 5 minutes say, oh, I should have told her that, or I wish she'd asked me this?
Oh, no.
That book is really interesting now. What are you going to do with that book?
I'm going to leave it to a grandkid.
Okay, good. Or a historical society, you know, too. They could make a copy of it. Did you think of that?
Well, I thought of it, but it just tells what day we was where. We went to different towns. We went to Brazil and all them places. And
I would think that would be invaluable. That, you know, really a valuable.
when I got, like I told you, when you get off, you don't have 2 years. They had a ruling after 2 years you need to be on land a while.
Mhm.
I'm sure they didn't everybody because they probably couldn't.
Mhm.
So these admirals and captains and stuff, they had to stay on the, I guess. But anyway, when I come into Norfolk, it wasn't time for them to get out. The war wasn't over. So I went to Clinton, Oklahoma.
Mhm.
And you know what we did out there?
What?
They had I don't know what you call it, an air base or what. That's where they stored a lot of the planes.
Uh-huh.
And our job was to go out every day and pry that plane up on one side and turn that wheel so far. Foot would sit on the same spot all the time.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
And I did that till I got discharged. I left Clinton, Oklahoma, came back to Norfolk, got discharged.
And that was that. And you haven't seen those guys that you were buddies with?
No, I wish I'd stayed in touch.
We're going to try and find them for you. I might be able to. On the internet? Do you ever do much on the internet?
I don't got no computer, don't want one.
Okay, well, maybe this computer will be something good for you. Maybe we'll try and find them. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me, or anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I mean, we make the best of something like that. You know what I mean? It's something you have to do. You don't just sit down and mope. You make the best of it. You enjoy it, to the fullest.
Mhm.
Yeah, if I had to do it over, I'd do it. Well, if you could go back, you'd do a lot of things different.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows? They might have stayed in and made 20 or 30 years out of it.
Yeah.
But country boy, go back to the country. And I went places and saw things that I'd never seen if it hadn't been for the war.
Mhm.
No way I could afford to go to the place I went. England, Africa, Hawaii.
Oh, you didn't tell me very much about Africa. What did you?
Well, you don't go to Africa. You just go to
you
the port.
Right.
You unload or load or
Yeah.
whatever. You don't take a sightseeing trip.
No,
out
I
through the
know, I
country.
know, I know.
So,
But you didn't get off the ship that much then, even in Hawaii.
I spent one night off in Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
They had the Royal Hawaiian Hotel.
Uh-huh.
Back then, it may be still there. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
That's where the movie stars and all these people. When the Navy took it over during the war,
Oh.
so I got to spend one night in. Just went over and spent the night in one night.
Were you ever entertained by any movie stars or anything? Did you have pinup girls in your?
We was out to sea. we didn't see land a lot of times. Sure didn't see no pinup girls.
Well, I meant, did you have any pinups?